Minister launches 2021 state budget in Bolova. The budget will focus to fight the coronavirus pandemic, organize Chan and AFCON competitions, and complete construction of major projects for the well-being of the population. 4 days to Chan kick-off. Football lovers rush at sales points to purchase tickets that will give them access into stadiums. In this edition, you will see the different sales points visited in Douala. A 43-minute film, The Fisherman's Diary, produced by a Cameroonian, has been selected to feature at the Academy Awards Oscars in the United States. Get the director of the film in this edition, and to those are top stories. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of the 7:30 News with me, Gladys Tata.
I have personally observed that most of our fellow citizens no longer comply with the protective measures prescribed by the government.
Finance Minister Louis-Paul Motaze has launched the 2021 state budget with a call on stakeholders to work towards an optimal execution of the budget in view of upgrading the living conditions of the population. During the ceremony in Bolova, it was revealed that the state budget, which stands at 4,865.2 billion CFA francs, must be used to fight against the coronavirus, assist agro-pastoral producers, organize the Chan, enter the AFCON competitions, and complete the construction of major projects, as well as foster decentralization. Our South Regional correspondent, Bernice Zatabon, covered the ceremony and now reports.
The 2021 state budget falls in line with President Paul Biya's vision to relaunch the economy of Cameroon despite the coronavirus pandemic. The budget, which stands at 4,865.2 billion CFA francs, is more than 200 billion higher than the budget of last year.
We don't know how things are going to move as far as the pandemic is concerned, first of all. As far as the socio-economic crisis in the northwest and southwest is concerned. We are a little bit optimistic, but there are some preconditions. And this is why I gave them some instructions on how to be very cautious.
This year's budget will be used to organize the Chan and the AFCON. A 100 billion CFA francs fund has been reserved for the fight against the coronavirus. Meanwhile, 50 billion will be used to assist agro-pastoral farmers. At least 15% of the budget will be given for local development projects. Budgetary stakeholders who attended the launch in Bolova listened to exposés on the innovations in the circular on the execution of the public investment budget, tax collection and customs duties in view of better understanding budgetary execution procedures so that the 2021 state budget can effectively contribute in improving the living conditions of the population.
In a related development, stakeholders in the execution of public investment projects in the Northwest region have appealed to government to accord special financial allocations to the crisis-ridden region so as to facilitate the effective execution of projects in 2021. The officials made the plea in Bamenda during the launch of the 2021 state budget for the Northwest that stands at 48 billion CFA francs and has been earmarked for projects like the continuation of construction works in the Ring Road and the Bamenda-Babaju stretch. Eric Langmiawufo completes that story from CRTV Northwest in Bamenda.
The source of political crisis, the late payment of bills by the Treasury, and the non-compliance of commercial banks to pre-finance contractors are some of the reasons behind the execution of only 263 projects out of 509 in 2020. Stakeholders want the government to allocate special financial considerations to the Northwest region.
Proposing that if the Central Treasury could make some special allocations to be transferred to the Regional Treasury of the Northwest region. This might help salvage the liquidity difficulties found in our treasury.
The 48 billion francs earmarked state budget for the Northwest will be used to improve on the living conditions of the people in 2021.
We have the continuation of the construction of the ring road, the Babaju Bamenda road, and I think 15 kilometers within the town of Bamenda.
The budget also targets the implementation of government's reconstruction efforts in the Northwest affected by a 4-year crisis.
The 2021 state budget will be executed under a number of constraints, the main one being the coronavirus pandemic. The objective of the state is to ensure that measures put in place effectively address the impact of the pandemic without crippling growth ambitions. Clarice Ari-Takang tells us more.
Security and COVID-19, the two challenges the implementation of the 2021 state budget will have to face head-on. From minus 2.8%, hopes are high that a rebound in the economy will take the growth rate out of the red. For the state, therefore, focus will not only be on revenue mobilization, but equally on overseeing rigor in the management of public funds. From internal and external debt servicing to other recurrent expenses, there should be no strings attached.
The context of the execution is going to be very difficult. And we have realized that there are the unpaid bills that is pending at the level of the Treasury. That is why the monitoring and the follow-up so that the actors should respect the procedure on the execution of the budget is very, very important. We will not allow authorizing officers to execute the budget haphazardly.
Strategic budgetary choices, good governance as regards fiscal and customs measures, but above all, purpose will have to serve as guidelines. The structural transformation of the economy is at stake.
When we start executing what is contained in the budget, it means that we are realizing the public policy that was developed by the government and approved by the parliament. So it's important that we follow up execution to make sure that we attain our objective.
With these pressures at the back of their minds, therefore, economic and financial players have 4,865.2 billion reasons to be proactive, disciplined, and committed to the task at hand.
According to the 2019 report on the activities of public establishments in Cameroon, the entities were hard hit by shocks resulting to the fall in the world price of oil and main export products. The report equally indicates that internal security concerns in the northwest and southwest regions, coupled with the Boko Haram attacks in the far north region, negatively affected activities of public corporations. However, the report outlines that despite these challenges, the country's economy continued to show resilience and is leader in the sub-region. More with Constantine Baum.
Regarding agriculture, activities fell slightly compared to 2018, with an increase in national demand for agricultural products. Growth in the sector stood at 3% in 2019. Port activity was characterized by an increase in overall traffic of 12.5% under the effect of the 27.2% increase in the volume of imported goods. Air transport activity was marked by a 20% drop in aircraft movements, with a 10% drop in the number of passengers and by 16% in freight tonnage. At the hydrocarbons, the report reveals that the global drop in Brent prices by 11% associated with a shutdown of operations in Sonora, but the subsector of electricity was marked by a high energy demand. The civil engineering housing sector will continue to grow with forecasts of around 7.4% of annual growth until 2028. It was one of the most important sectors in demand in 2019. Public telecommunications have been galvanized. Revenue amounting to about 12 billion CFA was recorded. Though a decrease compared to 2018, the performance of public establishments in the financing of the economy remains very unclear. Most of the pitfalls that were identified in 2018 report have persisted. The overall turnover stands at CFA 1,295.5 billion, a decrease of 15.7% compared to 2018. Cameroon's economy, despite the 3.7% decline in growth against a forecasted 4.1%, continued to show resilience.
Let's talk sports now. Actors involved in the different cultural displays ahead of the African Nations Championship have intensified rehearsals in prelude to the opening ceremony. In the meantime, seats have been mapped out according to CAF's prescription at the Yaoundé Omnisport Stadium with respect to COVID-19 physical distance measures. Romeo Kenny was at the football facility and now reports.
In the cubicle of this back office at the Annex 2 Stadium, these officials are present on daily basis to supervise rehearsals for the choreographic movement. Each of the actors is called upon to meticulously display beautiful dance steps, coupled with smiles. In a nutshell, serenity is recommended. At the main stadium, partners of the local organizing committee are leaving no stone unturned. The D-Day for the opening ceremony is fast approaching.
The opening ceremony of the Shan, we have something beautiful for the public.
On one hand, seats of different tribunes have been mapped out by physical distancing guidelines to keep at bay any COVID-19 threat among fans. In a row of 26, for instance, only 7 persons will be allowed to have access to a seat. While the countdown to the kickoff of the 6th edition of the African Nations Championship narrows down, the Cultural and Animation Manifestation Committee once reassures all is set for the football bonanza.
Football fans in the littoral region have started queuing in front of the different sales points to purchase their CHAN 2020 tickets. With barely 4 days to go of the tournament, officials of the different sales points say the number of tickets allocated for the first games in Japoma and the reunification stadiums are available. Rene Kache went visiting some of the sales points, and here's his report.
Good afternoon. Afternoon. I wish to request for an entry ticket to the game on Sunday.
Okay, Japoma Stadium.
To this young, anxious football fan, the Shan tournament has already started with the purchase of 4 tickets that will give him and his friends access into the newly constructed Japoma Stadium.
I came to be among the first people to pick up their ticket for the Sunday game.
Young Ebot says it is a priceless historic moment for Cameroon and Cameroonians, and being in possession of a Shan tickets has further whipped up patriotic sentiments in him. Another Cameroonian who will have the opportunity to watch the first Shan game is excited Berteng Alliance.
Very happy. This is a big moment for all Cameroonians.
Officials at the different sales points in Douala have reassured the allocated number of tickets are available.
We have all the tickets present. We have tickets for 1,000, we have tickets for 3,000, we have tickets for 5,000, we have tickets for 20,000 and 50,000.
The different sales points in Douala, notably Totafwe stations, Kameko, Kamtel, the regional and divisional delegations of sports, Pakuvita and the Bipanda and Japoma sales points open their doors daily beginning at 8 a.m.
The Cameroon radio television is ready to relay signals of the matches that will be played at the Yaoundé Omnisport Stadium during the African Nations Championship that kick-starts this January 16. 4 days to the CHAN kickoff, the Director General of CRTV, Sean Dongo, went on an inspection visit of the site to ascertain the level of preparedness. Yoti Kaleli Songe has highlights of that visit.
CRTV is loaded for bear as the African Nations Championship countdown skews inward. While waiting in the wings, the Director General, Charles Ndongo, embarks on an on-the-spot assessment of the Yaoundé Omnisport Stadium. First, a stopover at the Presidential Tribune with his team of directors. From a vantage point, they appreciate what they see so far. This stadium will host the CHAN kickoff, semi-finals, finals and closing ceremony.
We have other partners who are liaising with CRTV to make this event a memorable one, but CRTV has to take the lead.
Accredited pressmen are also covered. The media center here has 90 places and 24 computers, all connected to a Wi-Fi network and ready for use. There's also a possibility for media men to watch the footage of a live match here. CRTV's staff partners disclose all necessary equipment have been installed with just a few technical details to brush up.
The technical arsenal that CRTV is putting in place will come to make concrete what our viewers are going to see when the official kickoff will be given for this CHAN 2020. As far as the production of the signal of this competition is concerned, I don't think we have anything to be worried about as of now.
On January 16, the population is promised a wow opening ceremony.
3 roads access have been opened to circulation in Douala ahead of the upcoming CHAN thanks to emergency construction works carried out by government. The Minister of Public Works, Emmanuel Nganu Jumesi, today visited the sites to ensure fluidity at the entrance into the Japoma Stadium and on its linkage to the National Highway No. 3 during the Games. Details with Joyce Kimbi for Wajo.
Multiple stopovers by the state engineer between Yaoundé and Ndope Bridge to appreciate rehabilitation works on the road surface tar and the planting of concrete safety slides along the highway. Visible comfort and tranquility for travelers coming from Yaoundé to the Japoma Stadium. As for those coming from Yaoundé, 3 out of the 6-lane roads on the Douala urban roads have been urgently constructed.
We've been awarded an emergency project to make it nice to before Shan, allowing better fluidity of the traffic.
Satisfied, the supervisory authority instructed for an additional planting of informative road signposts along the road.
We are satisfied because we are hoping that there will not be a traffic jam during the competition, and we are hoping that the population will help us to manage the traffic.
Work continues to finish ahead of the African Nations Cup, though the pace may be dependent on the availability of funds.
In continuation of our series on how medical structures are bracing up for the African Nations Championship, we visited the Yaoundé Emergency Center, which will be on call 24/24 during the event to provide emergency care. The center has its emergency plan drafted and its care procedures disseminated for the population to get familiar with. Beatrice Losamba completes the details.
This is the way in for emergency cases that will need prompt medical response during the African Nations Championship. The Yaoundé Emergency Center, equipped to provide such responses, is bracing up for the new but not so new challenge.
If the Shan were to be played today, we would be ready. We have received equipment for the intensive care unit, scanners, and many others.
As a center which manages over 15,000 emergency cases yearly, one which has passed the test of managing emergencies during the prestigious Africa Women's Nations Cup, the hospital feels confident it will be up to the task. But even the most experienced players in competitions like this know it takes training to be fit for every new game.
We have well-trained staff in stadiums. We have mobile posts in towns with specific equipment to attend to cases on the spot.
As part of the emergency plan, medical teams will be deployed to stadiums. Their defibrillators will be available as well in games grounds. Patients with cardiac events will be stabilized and transported to hospital in 6 new ambulances recently acquired. The center counts on adequate emergency support from mobile medical teams and a network of hospitals chosen for sports-related injuries during the Chan.
Away from sports, it is envisaged that the United Nations Multidimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in the Central African Republic, MINUSCA, will organize a convoy of some 1,500 trucks from Garwabulai to Bangui, as trucks can no longer access the landlocked country because of violence and insecurity. This is one of the issues discussed at a meeting in Garwabulai by the Minister of Territorial Administration to evaluate the situation of land freight between the two countries. Ebenezer Akanga was in Garwabulai and now tells us more.
Due to the insecurity on the Garwabulai-Bangui corridor, economic transactions between Cameroon and the Central African Republic have come to a halt. Trucks transporting goods from Cameroon to the landlocked country have been grounded. There are 1,000 trucks which have been grounded in Garwabulai. Some of them are transporting perishable goods.
There are trucks from Chad transporting fuel. There are also trucks from Douala, SDP in Limbe, trucks transporting products of the World Food Programme, and MINUSCA. We have perishable products like fish, onion, rice, and many other trucks.
While on a special mission to Garwabulai on high instructions of the head of state, the Minister of Territorial Administration visited the sites where some of the trucks have been parked to get first-hand information of the situation. Paul Atanganji assured the transporters that a comprehensive report will be forwarded to the head of state for instructions on the way out.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
Over 300 foreigners, including football coaches and then football supporters, are expected in Cameroon for the upcoming African Nations Championship. Such opportunities easily permit the spread of the coronavirus, reason why there will be a systematic COVID screening of all the delegations. Who are those directly concerned with the COVID-19 screening? To answer this question, let's hook up with Baldwin Sama with his guest, Dr. Blaise Akenji, with updates. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Gladys Tata. With more and more persons coming to Cameroon thanks to the African Nations Championship, the worry is to know who among the different players or officials is directly concerned with screening for COVID-19. We discussed that tonight with our guest, Dr. Blaise Akenji. He is a biologist. Good evening to you, Doctor.
Good evening, Baldwin.
Among the different members of the different delegations to be part of the African Nations Championship in Cameroon, explain to us who are those directly concerned with screening for COVID-19.
Okay, thank you for that pertinent question, Baldwin. Of note, all CAF officials, all players and their delegations who will arrive at our airports and other entry points will be tested according to the national COVID testing protocol. Secondly, all players and all other involved actors who shall be present in or around the playing grounds will be tested before each match. And finally, just as a reminder, Cameroonians will be tested according to the national testing protocol. Those who are not involved, the general population will be tested normally as usual. Thank you for the question.
Thank you so much, Dr. Blaise Akenji, for giving us all those diseases concerns, all those concerns with the screening for COVID-19, with the arrivals for the different delegations into Cameroon ahead of the African Nations Championship. Back to you, Gladys Tata.
Thank you once more, Baldwin Sama, and hope to be in your company same time tomorrow. The Fisherman's Diary, a Cameroonian film released in 2020, has been accepted for the Best International Feature category. This was at the 93rd Academy Awards Oscars, the most prestigious cinema awards in the United States of America. The 143-minute drama tells the story of Eka, a young girl who desires education in an environment where education of a girl is a taboo. Emanuela Vermier spoke to the director of the film and compiled the following report for the 7:30 News.
From Cameroon to the world, the 2 hours 23 minutes Cameroonian drama, The Fisherman's Diary, is at the level of the Academic Awards, Oscars. Its submission for the Best International Film category for this most prestigious award in Hollywood has been accepted.
It's one beautiful feeling as a filmmaker to finally know that other great filmmakers in the world have given value to what you sat in a small corner to do.
With this first step now over, the Oscars team will analyze the film to ensure it meets all requirements before its official nomination. Should this be done, then hopes of a win could be nursed.
I think altogether we've had about 60-something awards. We tried to narrate an original Cameroonian story, the story of a lot of Cameroonian girls who are wishing and hungry for education.
Shot in Limbe, The Fisherman's Diary in Pidgin English tells the story of Eka, a young girl who desired education in an environment where girls' education is a taboo.
Papa, I'm interested in picking the sing school song. I like her.
1 year after its release, the hope of an Oscars is next.
And in religion, the National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon is currently meeting in Bafang, West Region, for the 44th Annual Seminar of Bishops in Cameroon. The 1 week come together unfolding under the theme, the National Episcopal Conference and its future, is chaired by His Lordship Abraham Kmer. Chanceline Nana Nanze of CRTV West in Bafusam tells us more.
The 44th Annual Seminar of Bishops of Cameroon is taking place at a time when the country is losing compatriots to terrorist and secessionist attacks. Thus, the clerics are laying emphasis on the place of fraternity in bettering the society.
The Holy Father, Pope Francis, published the encyclical Fratelli Tutti, in which He emphasized on universal brotherhood. If there is war, fighting, crisis everywhere, it's because of the lack of brotherhood.
They are also reflecting on the future of the National Episcopal Conference.
It is time for our conference to be able to adapt itself so that the conference can be relevant to the reality we are living.
The gathering is taking place in the presence of the Archbishop Emeritus of Douala, Cardinal Christian Tomi. Among those who attended the opening ceremony was the SDO for the Opankam, Luke Ndongo.
The new executive president of the Cameroon Baptist Convention, the Reverend Dr. Nditeme Charlemagne, has officially taken up function as president of the CBC. During a service at the Nkwen Baptist Church, Christians expressed the desire for the new leader to foster their faith in God. Kilo Valerine Salah has the details from Crtv's Northwest Regional Bureau in Bamenda.
At the Nkwen Baptist Church in Bamenda, a transitional service unfolds to draw curtains on the 8-year mandate of Reverend Dr. Ncham Godwi Chato at the helm of the Cameroon Baptist Convention. A particularly challenging mandate blighted by insecurity.
A lot of our schools that were in rural areas were shut down, but I'm glad that as I exit, some of those schools are beginning to reopen timidly, and most of those health facilities in the rural areas are also beginning to resume.
The new CBC hierarchy describes the current clashes in the northwest and southwest regions as far too distant in providing any meaningful solution to the stalemate.
Peace would thrive much more from dialogue than from the barrel of a gun. So we call on all parties to give a chance to peace.
He's departing with a reputation for frank work, but his successor must pull off a deep and different approach. For observers who find that frankness alone hasn't sufficed to blow off the current unrest torturing the restless crisis regions.
And that is the package we put together for you on the 7:30 News. Thanks for watching. Adele Mbala will be here at 8:30 for the news in French. For me, I'll be here tomorrow, same time. Until then, it's bye from all of us on the 7:30 call. Good night.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.